Building Azeroth's Liberation of Undermined raid. Building WoW's wildest raid. Blizzard released this. I've never seen them do this before. Basically releasing a thing on how they built out this raid and everything. Let's see if we get some insider information on what's going on in the raid here from the actual WoW team.
My name is Scott Morin. I'm a senior designer on the Encounters team. We get to make a lot of the cool creatures and bosses you fight in World of Warcraft. Liberation of Undermined is an upcoming raid in 11.1. Players will get to go into the city of Undermined, where Gallywix and his cronies have set up shop. It's a really good opportunity for us to do something more crazy and zany that fits the Goblin tone. So for the Encounters team,
so far, this guy's got a wild tattoo. Look at that bone tattoo. Damn. I was going to say, so far, the aesthetic of this raid feels different than anything we've seen in a while. The Goblet, obviously, they're leaning full on into the Goblet theme, which is really cool. And what's it called? Getting that different aesthetic out of this, more zany, more loopy, casino lights everywhere and everything. I am very excited to get in this raid. So I got distracted by the fact, does this guy have a fucking Shadowlands background right here? Or no, that's just Bolvar. Okay. I was about to trip out.
It's fairly early. We have a list of potential bosses, and we brainstorm them. Whatever the coolest thing is that makes sense for the fantasy and whatever story we're telling. Also, if it gives us a chance to do some gameplay we've never seen before, we gravitate towards
His ball
those
mechanic
fights.
looks cool.
Muggsy, the Heads of Security, is the penultimate boss fight in the Liberation for Undermine. He's a two-headed ogre. It was pitched by another designer on the team. What if the Galagio had not just one head of security, but two?
I see what they did there. Yeah,
the inspirations for Muggsy kind of came from everywhere.
Yes, master.
There was such a rich source material to pull from in Warcraft for ogres. I myself love ogres. They're big, they're dumb, they have cool...
They're dumb. I mean, they are technically like a degenerative form of orcs, because orcs, I think evolved down the lineage of ogres. But I was going to say, big miss on Blizzard's part to not give playable ogres back in WoD. I mean, we literally went to High Mall and everything. That was the time. They could have given playable ogres to the Horde. I feel like that's still one people miss. It was an original. Before we got trolls, we were supposed to get ogres.
Cool magic.
Job's done.
They cast one of the most iconic spells of all time, Bloodlust. And on the other half, we looked at a lot of mobster movies and crime movies and tried to hit on those notes of he is the head of security trying to lock you down, and he's a corrupt gangster. And so he summons in all these cool goblin tech toys. Here you can actually see some early concept of Muggsy. And you can see I kind of kit bashed his weapon, what it may look like. And then right over here we have what he ended up looking like after...
By the way, I like to look at these things to see if there's any hints in the background here of anything that they're showing us that they shouldn't be. He's got WoW open. Oh shit, look at that. And he's got... What is this? Is that Steam? No, he's got OBS. Oh, he's streaming. Okay, yeah, that's cool. Interesting.
Over here we have what he ended up looking like after going through the 3D modeling and texturing process. One inspiration for Muggsy goes all the way back to Cataclysm and Firelands with Major Domo Staghelm, this concept of a boss whose abilities are controlled by players' positioning. We wanted to see what that would look like in current World of Warcraft. One of the design challenges was figuring out how players can trigger essentially two different boss fights in one single space. And you'll find that Muggsy switches what head is in control based off where players are in the arena.
Okay.
So this is actually the first...
That is also kind of like the, what's it called? The elemental guy fight back in Vault of the Incarnates. You guys remember you move into the different pizza slices and his abilities completely change? I forgot what it was. It was the Tauren, elemental shaman Tauren guy. I forgot his name, though.
First video we have of Muggsy was prototyping.
So a pug killer boss? No, I mean, it's going to be dependent on the tanks, just to tank swap properly, basically. You know, understand when his enrage timer is going to go off and then just swap the boss back and forth.
Come, servant. We have a realm
Jack Seafood, thank you for the follow. Welcome to our Scourge.
So whenever the player, or majority of players, crosses the center threshold of the room, we swap which head is in charge. Here's another video demonstrating the earliest prototype for mines. They don't even come from the boss, they just kind of appear, do a huge explosion. With Muggsy, I'm really excited to see how players manage both heads at the same time when they choose to swap over, because there's a very big difference in what abilities he'll be casting on either side. And there's a lot of agency in players' hands on how they control that.
My name is Valentina Viliva, and I do VFX on World of Warcraft. I worked on the Ogre boss.
Hey, she's got the same headphones as me. Look at that. I'm wearing them right now. These Logitech Pros ones, they're pretty good.
I worked on the Ogre boss and Rick Reverb, making sonic and explosion effects.
Player agency.
Whenever we make the effect, our main goal is always it has to communicate gameplay. We don't add things just because we want to make it flashy. We redid a lot of the target rims for the players to know like where to stand and what is damaging. So we define the boundaries better. We do think about all these elements.
Yeah, these look, the swirlies look so much better.
For the explosion, my main focus was creating something large scale that would feel very damaging and would cover a big portion of the screen. Yeah, so this effect was actually a part of a bigger kit that we're making that would be, it's an explosion kit. So it's something that's physical, has a bit of fire to it, lots of damaging, lots of debris. And for this explosion, I created a sculpt, and the way I broke it down is
like a
three
broccoli.
pieces. The bottom part, vertical impact, and then the mushroom cap. The goal was to use these meshes for the explosion because we're using a mesh workflow where we scroll a material and a texture on the mesh.
That looks like something else. I thought the same thing.
Fire's burning through it. So it's like the first test.
Damn, she got a full Lich King Arthas there in the background. Holy crap, that's cool.
To make it feel like fire's burning through it. So it's like the first test I did on the mesh and kind of like trying to see like, can I make it look like fire is burning? I did a fun test where I was locally overriding his files and the client, which resulted in this. I was like, that's a good way to test if the game will crash or not. Samiccus is our sound kit. In this case, because we're working with the promoter, he's using a lot of sound magic against the players. One of the effects that I made is an aura that gets placed on you that creates a lot of waves around you. Sound is a lot of like repeating waves, like Doppler effect.
I've never really considered this. There's so many screen effects that they got to make too, to make the boss fight like to help players understand like, oh, you're being hit by this thing right now. A lot more shit that goes into this game than we think about sometimes. Look, they got teams open. That's absolutely traumatizing. OBS too.
So we're focusing a lot on
of hub right here.
Language of like repeating waves and like sine waves. Over the years, we've really made a big effort to define the art style, making sure we don't mix too many things together so it becomes looking
like
like
Swarm and Silken Court, true.
Of different elements. So in this case, when we were defining the kit, we were making sure it didn't look too close to fire, it didn't look too close to wind. It was unique to its own.
I think they did a good job. It does look like sound waves.
And I'm a senior character artist.
Holy, look at behind this. This guy's got everything. I wonder, they're probably, this is in the office. You could tell he's got a Herman Miller chair. That's probably in the office here. But my God, look at all this cool shit he's got behind him.
World of Warcraft team. My mission was to visualize the goblin called Rick River. They want me to make a device that attacks using sound waves. When I first heard about the story of this character, a home audio system came to my mind. The first step is the thumbnail stage. You can think of this as the brainstorming phase. I gather
this guy drew it out.
All kinds of references. During this stage, I actively discuss the idea with my team. I select the thumbnail that best fits the concept and refine it.
What a badass creative process, like to be part of this whole thing from the start to finish. This is really cool. I'm looking at the programs he has open. He's got Discord on here.
Further. During this process, small details might change. For example, I like the shape of the metal piece covered on the front, but the grill feels a bit off when compared to
Sam, I mean, back at COVID, they would have went back to their houses to basically film this stuff. So Sam, how you been? Good. Rotating rocket. This is cool.
Traditional goblin
back
aesthetics.
front.
So I asked myself, if I were a goblin, what would I put there instead? I landed on the idea of a massive battery with the ominous green glow. The final stage is
cool.
modeling and
You can get this mount from the raid, by the way.
Demands a high level of precision. So when you're looking at this one, so it's actually flat, gray. You're gonna paint over on this model. Usually I'm starting with the black and white like this, and then just make the value first, and then putting the colors.
Wow, man, paint makes such a huge difference. Look at how it went from this to this just from the sketching. What the heck? Wow, that's a huge
putting
difference.
Colors after the texture done, you're gonna testing it the WoW engine. The tumbling engines and pipes or the speaker sounds effect isn't just about modeling and texture. They come to life.
This will be a really cool mount to get.
The tech team, the prop team, animation, FX team.
The jacket's pretty cool.
This process, we constantly inspire one another.
No way, it's a sound
I'm Teresa
person?
Kim, and I'm a sound designer.
I'm Jake Archer, and I'm a sound designer. You usually go into the Foley room with like a vibe, but you don't really necessarily know what the feeling sounds like. So it's always fun and playful, and usually end up with really good results.
What a cool
We're
job.
creating bad sounds. I think that was a bit of a challenge. There was times when I was in my room and I was like, is this good? But it's good because it's bad. Teresa and I created a palette of sounds for the Undermined patch. It's kind of like a library for the whole team to then utilize when they're creating sounds as well.
So
cool.
Gallywix has a huge daunting mechanic body. I went to antique store and then I asked them do you guys have anything can make sounds? And they gave me old toy car and then milkshake maker.
Some of
The Gallywix fight, nobody knows anything about it yet. I'm trying to see if we can get hints from the sounds that they are making for it, but they're not giving us much. We won't know anything until the raid opens for Gallywix.
Recording in the Foley room, we used a ultrasonic microphones. The human hearing range is usually 20 hertz to 20,000. So this goes all the way up to 100.
Oh, there's the Gallywix boss fight room right behind him. Hey, there's fire on the ground. We got fire in the fight. You see it right there?
So this goes all the way up to 100.
Right there, kind of kicking off.
And what that really helps with is when we're
They might have wiped already. Yeah, well, they got full health. So they're standing in the Gallywix
pitching
room.
around sounds, we have all that extra information. So if we pitch something down really, really low, we're still hearing it
hopefully.
like we recorded it at that level.
So this is electronic magnetic microphone. Then I pick up the sound from the displays. And also I took some
That's
sound
weird.
on the outlet. For the Goblin palette work, I demonstrate high, mid, and low frequency to give more freedom to use for the sound designers.
Yeah, so this would be a cool job.
Maybe he casts huge attack for the players, then we can hear this sound as well. So
Wait a minute. We getting hints here, guys? What is this? Some kind of beam mechanic from these side beams here? And he's got bots. He's got little bot ads. Interesting. I wonder if this thing's powering him up.
So I put some random sequencer on it.
Could be one of those mechanics where you gotta stand in the beam to block it from getting to him and powering him up or something,
that's
or
why
absorbing
the
it.
static sounds bouncing around. So if I turn off this plugin, then we only can hear the electronic magnetic wave sound from display. But if I add some texture on it, then it sounds a little bit like Goblin.
Oh yeah, it does. My God,
Interesting designing
they're really
sounds
good
for
at
a
their
video
job. That's
game
really good.
because you need multiple files. Everything needs to be switching up all the time. If you hear the same thing over and over, subconsciously the player knows that it's not really right, and you just really want to create the immersion.
That's true. I will say one thing for sure. In Undermined, the music, unbelievable. There's definitely a lot of sounds, a lot of explosions, a lot of funny things going around around you. It's very immersive. Undermined as a zone so far is very immersive. I'm expecting the same out of the raid. What the hell is going on back here? This looks like he's diffusing a bomb.
It's Josh Miramontes, and I'm a sound designer on World of Warcraft.
Pizza slice. I saw it right there. Pizza slice. We got a pizza slice mechanic, guys. Right there.
Sound designer on World of Warcraft. Palette building is where we got started, which was all of us sound designers going to the hardware store, going to antique shops, finding anything we could, and sharing that across the team. And then everybody was then reaching into that palette and creating their sound effects with that. And that allowed me, as the sound designer implementing for Gallywix, to just go in and I would be like, I need a zap. And it'd be like, oh my gosh, look at this, incredible. There's all these incredible zaps. My job as a sound designer is to inform the players that something is happening. It's a lot of talking to the designer and understanding their intent of this spell will wipe the raid. So I will make a list of these are the big moments in the raid encounter that are going to harm people to the point of wiping them, and I just need to make those
frontal.
punch. It's all about just mixing in a way that informs the player.
Whoa, what the shit? Oh my God, that was... He goes into a full mech suit? He goes into a full mech. I've never seen this animation before this video. This is so cool.
It's all about just mixing in a way that informs the player. Like something should be.
What? Oh my god. This is so badass. That is so cool. Yeah, this could be a cool fight.
Grabbing your ear to let you know that something really bad is going to happen.
I'm Derek Duke. I'm
Oh
music
my
director
God.
here at Blizzard Entertainment.
Why don't we go
this is
full
really
mech? I wish.
A great update to work on because we get a chance to really dive into the goblins again. When we kicked it all off, Leo and I sat down to really go back and take a listen to all of the previous goblin work that we'd done before and dig into the jazz roots.
So they did so good.
From the very moment
So
you're in
good.
there, you'll hear a difference and feel a difference having been.
This zone is the most different I've ever felt like WoW music has gone. Like the direction, they went full into the jazz. It's not like this is WoW, but like this is full on jazz ensemble, and it's so good. It fits so good with the Undermined zone.
With a jazz ensemble. So part of the process is we want to explain the character of the goblins, and when a soloist improvises, they
See how
interpret
the
it.
game.
And so by giving descriptors and helping the players understand the characters of the goblins more, they can get into character. It helped eke out so much more feeling and vibe from the performances.
Oh, really cool.
My name is Leo Kliski, and I'm the lead composer on World of Warcraft. This patch was unique because of the jazz band. We decided we wanted to record them differently. For this one, it felt really important to do the group all together on the same day, to get them in the same room and get them playing off each other so it felt more authentic. It's always a little bit different once, a person is playing it and it's not you sitting in front of a computer, and you kind of have to, with your limited time in the session, decide, like, do you like their version of it, or do you want to ask them to, do it again to get it closer to what you had in mind? With this patch, we kind of wanted their version. We would often be like, yeah, this is the melody, but feel free to embellish it. And usually those were the takes that ended up in the final version over what we originally
Yeah, they
wrote.
did a great job with the
And then finding a way
music.
to process it and produce it, to kind of have some of that craziness in it as well. So we did stuff like sending some of the saxophones to like guitar amp processing, or like, putting like phasers, chorusers, and distortions on it, like stuff like that to help add in some of that wildness again.
This on its own is that like guitar amp layer. It almost sounds a little bit like a guitar at that point with that
Yeah,
type
it does.
of performance, and like the phaser really comes through there, which kind of felt natural for like the bright lights and the colors and the collagio. Here.
It's crazy when you think about how much work goes into these new zones and new encounters. Like, they're talking about boss fight mechanics, sounds, screen visuals, all kinds of stuff. Imagine you put in all this work, because you're putting all this background work that maybe or maybe not it gets appreciated by the player base, and then Belial comes out with the video that shits all over, and you're like, oh, fuck, man. How bad does that feel? Sometimes I feel bad for devs, because their work is literally being judged like by the public constantly. So, I mean, I will say, none of them are going to watch this shit, but if they were, I would say they did a great job on Undermined. They really did. The zone, the aesthetic, everything about it, even the story is great, but just overall, it feels so goblin-y when you're there. It just feels very different from anything else we've seen in WoW up to this point.
What it is all together.
Makes you appreciate the staff. Yeah, it does. So much work that goes into this stuff.
So it's also quite a bit of reverb, which if this were like a album release version of it would be way too much. But once you turn it way down and put it in the background in game, that reverb has a way of just disappearing. And it helps it like blend into the world a little bit more.
The raid is interesting because often the raid is in a totally separate space that you only ever see as part of the raid. It's the same city. It's just that it's in the middle of this battle. Six Bug
Very
Chunker
cool.
is at least the only boss that I can remember from WoW where a specific ability got specific music. We don't ever really do that.
Oh,
WoW
really?
boss music is kind of simple in that, the fight starts, the boss music starts,
Yeah, the music kicks
maybe
on.
it changes with phases. But this one, the designer, Matt Villers, who made this boss, approached us early and showed us this ability where you get up on this trash ball and like roll around the whole arena, picking up trash so that you can blow up a bomb before it blows you up. And he was
Yeah.
like, hey, can we do unique music for this? So we like went back and forth with him for a while, making sure that like the spell hookups were in there, and he had to make unique spell hookups to stop the music, because otherwise the music would have started for the trash ball and just not stopped ever. And then we kind of had to decide like what would the music be there. It actually ended up working out really well that we used the same music that we're using for a drive, and it had the right energy, and Something about driving around
Oh,
a trash
cool.
ball felt like the music still worked for that.
So I wonder that'll probably be unique for whichever player gets on the ball, and they'll just hear a different soundtrack than everyone else.
So
That's
it's
kind of cool.
using a like different variation of that track.
That's so cool. Man, the Blizzard team cooked. I have a feeling this raid's going to be good. I'm excited for
So
it.
the Liberation for Undermined has been a ton of fun for the whole team. It's such a nice change of pace for us and players to do something more wacky and zany that we just get
Yeah,
to let
goblins
loose
over
with.
spiders for sure. Damn. What a great video. I hope they do this for every raid going forward. I love this look behind stuff because, if anything, it just makes you appreciate the entirety of the raid. Like now, when I go and I'm gonna be listening for that, I'll be like, "Oh yeah, there's that thing they talked about. There's the zap sound. There's that wave mechanic that they were showing. Really, really cool video. I'll link this in the chat. Nice video from the WoW team.